Hello, this is Summer Morgan, and I want to make a record about a client I had, Stacey Whitfield, on February 29th, 2024. So, Stacey asked me to make this video, so I am making it on her behalf, but also for my own record. Um, as we did not record this session, it was done in my home office. So I'm just going to talk plainly about everything that happened. Stacy came to me to remove some blocks. Like a lot of times when we have blockages, she postponed it from the original and came in much later than she anticipated. I don't believe in coincidences. I think you come at the perfect time. And I, at the time, had some ideas of what work we were going to do because she was talking about also other connections and past lives. And I thought that we were going to do some different work, but here we are. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible and not long and boring. But Stacey came into the office, and I have this office and then this other section of my office over here with a nice reclining chair. And I kind of sit in the background here so that I can see her and we can hear each other, but I'm not like staring at her face. And I have my notebook. And so I opened up, I ground and connect with her, and then we opened up her Akashic records, and then we started the talk down into hypnosis, which went very much like normal. And she was having a conversation with me very much like normal. And we talked about her block. So we're looking for the block. She wasn't able to go anywhere into her past because I wanted to take her into a place that I call the waiting room, which is your space when you're between lives. And her higher self was like, nope, we're staying right here. We're not moving. This is where we are. So, okay, so here we are in this space, and she says she has a block. And I said, where is it? And she says it's like right here in her on top of her diaphragm, right? And she starts like having some bad gas. She's belching a lot and having a reaction. And she says this has happened before when she's worked with other energy workers and healers. And when she tried to remove this block, she would have a lot of gas. It's causing it. And she's like going on, she's like, it's just here. It's just pushing. It's a lot of pressure. It feels like a lot of pressure. So normally when someone has a block, we remove it outside of their body before we decide what we want to do with it. And I'm like, can you move this block? What color is it? The box, it's a cube and it's black. I feel very much like it wants to be integrated and disperse throughout her body. Like I'm like, I feel like it's very much wants to be integrated. How do you feel about that? She said, yes, that sounds about right. I feel like it's a part of me that needs to just be with me. And then we're working. She's like, I'm scared, and she's crying and she's screaming because she's like, it's a very primal. I feel like it's a very old entity. Like it is a totally separate entity that's been sitting in this box as a gift. I consider this a gift. Um, and so I'm seeing this entity that's very old and ancient, and I can see it in my, my field, my energy field. And she's like, it's scaring her. She's like, I'm very afraid, but I'm okay. I know I'm safe. And I'm like, yeah, you're safe. We're safe right here. If you don't feel safe, let me know. But she's like very crying and screaming, very guttural screaming, like very guttural primal. Now, Stacey and I have worked together before, and we've had this conversation that her energy feels like newer energy. Um, like it's very like a clean slate. I always felt like it was a very clean energy. Like there was not a lot of karma or muddy up or whatever. And I don't believe in karma like most people do. I believe we create our own karma, but it just seems uh, very new to me. And like we've done past life regressions where we could not get to another life, like I was not able to take her that. And there's not a lot of people that happens with. She's one of the only ones. Everybody can usually get uh, uh, a rendition of another life, or it usually comes in, and this was not working like it did not work like it normally did. Instead, we went like through this cave of light. She really enjoyed herself, and like she could feel herself in time with no time, right? Like as a energy being, she was able to feel that. Not this time, in a previous session. So we're in this session. I feel very protective of her energy because I feel it's newer energy. And this obviously inside of her is this ancient, powerful energy. So I'm sitting there and Stacey's like having this reaction. So I put one hand on her heart and I take one hand outward because I do this a lot of times when I'm doing Reiki and energy work. And so I'm like first here and on her hands, and like she's acting like she's in physical pain, although she says she's not in pain. It's just this fear and she's very afraid. And I'm having this conversation about this entity wanting to join with her. I'm completely spaced out at this point while she's having this reaction. I have kind of an out of body experience myself where I don't have really control of my actions. It's obviously, I feel like it's my higher self, my higher being having this argument. I call it an argument, a debate with this old entity. And this entity is having a discussion with my energy. So in the Akashic realm, we're having this discussion, and they tell me that they are a walk-in and that they have it's time for them to have control of this body, and they would like to come in, take it over immediately. And I am like, you cannot take over this body immediately. It has things to do. There are so many things it needs to do, and you need a process so that you can learn how to be in a body. You haven't been like I'm having this conversation, and I know how crazy this sounds whenever I'm talking about it. So uh, please please stay with me, because I've had conversations like this, but not in this manner. Um, I'm telling this entity, higher self me is telling this entity, you cannot just take over this body. Stacey has, you know, a life here. There's so much going on. There's things that need to be done. And they're like, yes, there's things that need to be done, and I have to do it. I'm here to do it. And I'm like, we need to integrate you fully together, and we need time to do that. And they're like, we don't want to take time. We want to do it right now. Um, and I know how it will look from the outside because Stacey's crying and making these guttural sounds and telling me she's okay like the whole time. And I am off in the Akashic realm. I can feel my mouth moving and my body's like twitching, having this conversation on her behalf. Um, in the end, I made an agreement with this entity that there would be a 10-year time period where they would integrate together so that um, it would not be such a shock to everything. Like there would be this 10, I'm going, well, Stacey's this age now and she'll be this age then. And in my mind, I can see Stacey um, older. I see her in these very feminine clothes. Her hair is in, I don't know what it's called, but it's wrapped up. And she's very happy and like doing this work. And her work is probably not as she imagines now, as you imagine now, Stacey, since you're listening to this. Um, all I can say that I was allowed to say was that it would give her the ability to see. She would be a seer. So to me, a seer would be seeing spirit rather than um experiencing spirit any other way. I did not want Stacey to be sitting in her living room and having 30 entities just come up on her, uh, because I felt like she wasn't ready for that, and in the current timeline that we're on. So I wanted like there to be this spaced out so that she could gradually move into this experience. Now, seer might be something else, uh, and mean something else 10 years from now when we get there. So I'm just telling you that that's how my brain calculates it as, a seer. I was not allowed to share any other information um other than that. But this being was very powerful, very ancient. And then we were having a very heated conversation where I was very protective of Stacey's energy. Um, when I came down, it seemed like both of us came out of it at the same time, and we looked at each other, and she asked me, uh, and I went, whoa. And she asked me what I was experiencing. I told her this story at that time. Obviously, it did not stick. I told her everything. I told her other things that I'm not going to put in this video because I don't believe it is important now. And I don't feel like I physically capable. It will not come out of my mouth because I've tried to say it again and it does not come out of my mouth. So, um sorry. Um so Stacy then like still like we're in this peaceful calm place now, and she gets very scared again and she goes into this very childlike uh where she's like mad and angry, and she has this angry and she's like, I'm just mad, she's throwing a temper tantrum, and she's just like, I'm just angry about it, I know it's here and I know I have to do it and I don't want to do it and I don't want to do it and I just didn't get to do what I wanted to do, and like she's like having a full-on temper tantrum, and I'm letting her have it, you know, I'm allowing it to be whatever it is, and I'm telling her, to get everything out, and she's just mad and she's screaming and yelling. And at this point, I'm glad no one else is here but us and the cats. And then she starts crying and she kind of rolls up in a little ball and she leans into me. And I said, and then she calms down and she feels calm. And we bring in, so usually I want to bring in something nice, something, you know, to help on your way. So before we come out of hypnosis, Um, I let them decide what we're bringing in and what color it is. At this time, I did not. I said we are going to bring in self-love and confidence. And ironically, most people at this point, whenever I say self-love and confidence, they see it as this pink iridescent color. Sometimes green is with it, sometimes blue is with it, whatever confidence comes up, but pink iridescent. So I said that to visualize this pink iridescent color, and then she like went crazy over pink. She's like, I've never liked pink. Pink is girly. I was never allowed to have pink. Pink is not me, but I'm really accepting of this pink, and I'm really gonna embrace it. This is this feminine color, and this I wasn't allowed to be feminine, and now I can be feminine. And we brought in all this energy. She felt really good. She's like, I just feel so good right now. We called back all the pieces from all time and space to come and fill up any spaces. She was feeling really whole and complete. So I feel like right now I ask her, do you feel like we're done? Is there anything else we need to do? I don't think we need to touch on any other subject today because there were other stuff she wanted. And I'm like, we are right now about 2 hours in, which is, it's an hour and a half session and we're about 2 hours in. And she's like, no, I don't think we can do anything else. So we start the talk up. And before I start the talk up, I start by saying, I'm going to leave you with the following suggestions. Luckily, I said with the suggestion that every night when she went to sleep, or every time that she went to sleep, she would integrate this energy a little bit more. It would integrate fully more into her system. She would feel more and more like she knew what she needed to do, more and more what needed to be done, things like that. And then I was trying to get her a way to communicate with this energy. Um, I've never had a problem with this before. Usually, if you want to contact, if you want to get closer to your intuition, your higher self, whatever, we can make, your little toe tingle, or, I get a big whop, big thing of energy up my spine, up into my head, and it all just tingles. First I let her, but I was like, let your body choose it. And then she's like, it's not doing anything. Can I choose it? And I was like, yes, you can. And all of a sudden she like flipped out and um was like crying and screaming again. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm safe. I just, I just think the energy is too much for her. She starts crying again. She asked me if I could hold her. I said yes. She asked me if we could stand up and could I hold her standing up. So we did. So we stood up. I held her for quite a long time. She was crying. She got tears all on me. I'm like holding her, and like that's how like much she's crying. And and then I said, and then she looks at me, she's like calm, and she says, "Thank you." And I said, how are you feeling? Do you need me to do the whole talk up, which is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you're out of hypnosis. And she's like, I think I'm okay. I'm like, okay. And then she sits down and we're having a conversation, and she's like, looks at her nails and says, who painted my nails? And I'm like, you came in here with painted nails, Stacey. I'm like, I don't know who painted them. I did not paint your nails during this session. She's like, but I bite my nails and they never look nice, so I don't paint them. And I said, well, they look really nice right now. And she goes, they do. And she went, who put this ring on my finger? I'm like, I did not put a ring on your finger. She's like, I never would wear a ring. I came from work. Why would I wear a ring? I'm like, I don't know. And she said, I feel like I jump timelines. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense to me because I talk about jumping timelines all the time. I'm like, okay, well, maybe she joined this timeline, another version of her joining this timeline because she came in with her nails painted in the ring. In my perception, I was here, right? So she's like, I don't feel right. Something's not right. And I said, let's do the talking. Let's talk you up. So just relax. And she immediately went down. So it was like in the movies. And I was like, okay, she's still under. So I had her lean back again. She was immediately out. And I said that things would integrate. I did the talk of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're wide awake, full of energy, ready to go. And so she did. She opened her eyes and I said, how are you feeling? She said, I feel okay, a little off. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, how long have I been here? And I'm like, well, it's about 1:15 now. So it's been about, almost, 3 hours. I think we're going on. She got here at 10:45. I'm really bad at math, so don't yell at me. It was about, 2.5 to 3 hours at that time. And she's like, what did we work on? That's not unusual. I did tell her she'd remember what we talked about, but it's not unusual that it might slip your mind right away. And so I like told her the entire story, what I just told you, leaving out little bits. I'm kind of being more in detail because I'm putting this for my own records as well. So I told her that story. She's like, oh, okay. And I said, I said, let's go upstairs because it is now like close to 1:30. And I have to go to the bathroom. Tim's got this bathroom blocked up, and I'm like, blocked off right now. I said, let's go upstairs. I'd like to go to the bathroom, and we can talk more up there. You can see how you feel up there. She's like, okay. So we went upstairs, and I used the bathroom, and then she used the bathroom, and she comes out and she goes, how long have I been here? I'm like, okay, Stacey, it's been about 3 hours now. So we're going on 3 hours. She's like, when did I get here? What did we do? And I explained it all again. I thought, okay, she's a little off. My cat came in. I, I put my cats all over social media. I've known Stacey a very long time. I know Stacey knows my cats. She goes, what's this cat's name? I'm like, that's magic. That's magic, Stacey. She was like, oh, and like we had a conversation. We're like talking. I asked her where she got her nails done. She remembered getting her nails done at that time. I said, they look nice. She said, yeah, my nails look nice. I'm like, okay, so she remembers her nail, now that's kind of falling in line. I'm like, okay, I feel better about that, but she looks really out of it. She goes, I said, do you want to sit on the couch for a little bit? She's like, I just feel off. I said, well, maybe she said she felt a little ungrounded. I said, so maybe you need to eat. I said, I need to eat. So I drive a bus for special needs kids. So I have a swing shift. I drive 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, and I have to leave by 2:30. So I'm like, I need to eat. If you're hungry, I'm going to make you a plate. I made her some food. She came in to eat. Um, my cat came up again and she goes, what's this cat's name? I'm like, okay. And then she's like, how long have I been here? She asked me it several times. What happened? I had already explained the story to her over 3 times. I think we're on the 4th time now. And she's like, you look really worried. She's like, I'm not worried. I feel great. You look really worried. What do we do? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I need to call Jovan, Stacey. I don't know if I need to call an ambulance. She's like, what's going on? And I'm like trying to say, you asked me this multiple times. I don't know what to do. And by this time we're getting close to 2 o'clock, and I know that I have to leave in 30 minutes. And so she goes, well, maybe I could just stay here. Now, I would have gladly let Stacey stay at my house any other time, except for about every 5 minutes. She did not remember being at my house. And she did not remember what she was here for, what was happening. And all I could think was, I'm going to leave Stacey at my house, and she's going to freak out, lose herself, whatever, or leave and not lock the door, let the cat out, like all these things are going through my head because she's not being her normal self. Like, I don't know. I would suspect, I've not dealt with anybody with dementia, but it felt very much like dementia. Like there was an episode here. And so I'm like, where's Nate at? Where's Nate? And she goes, you know my brother Nate? Now, Stacey knows I know her brother Nate. She introduced me to her brother Nate. I met him a couple times, and I've read his cards and all of this. I'm like, yep, I know Nate. She's like, he's at home, and I'm like, let's call Nate. Okay. So we called him, and Stacey is sure she can drive. She feels okay to drive. She just feels a little off, she says, and doesn't remember what we're doing. And so I tell Nate the story. As I'm telling Nate the story, I can see on Stacey's face, this is the first time she's heard this story. Mind you, this is the 6th time I have told this story. So we all decide that Stacey is going to go directly to Nate's, and that he's going to let me know when she gets there, and we're going to monitor her for the rest of the evening. So she says, okay, Nate, I'll call you right back. So in that time, we clean up. She says she has to go to the bathroom again. She puts the address in the GPS, because she said, I'm just going to put the address in the GPS. She remembers the address. She goes to the bathroom, comes out, and goes, I think we need to call Nate. And I'm like, we called Nate. I'm like, we called Nate. She's like, we did. Do you know Nate? I'm like, I do know Nate. And we called him. Are you able to drive? Yes, I can go to Nate's house. Okay. So we end up getting her in the car. At that point, she gets a call from somebody or a message from somebody saying that they're waiting for her to show up. She's like, I think I had an appointment at 2. I said, well, you're not going to your appointment and you're not answering this phone. We're going to call Nate. And then Nate called her. Um, and then she got in the car. Uh, she uh, left, seemed okay. And I left and I messaged Nate, said, please let me know when Stacey gets there, which he did. Stacey got there safe and sound. And I called him immediately as soon as I finished my route. And I said, how's she doing? He's like, she's just very different. Something's off. And I said, okay, I know what I need to do. So I need to come up there. I'm gonna get up there as quickly as I can. So I got up to Nate's house, and when I got there, she had slept. I did encourage him to let her sleep, and he wanted her to sleep to kind of like recalibrate. I knew that I had put in the hypnosis session that when she slept, things would integrate more and more as time went on for the next 10 years, mind you. So I got there and Stacey, he's like, she's so much better now. She's better. She's not 100%, but she's better. She remembers. She remembers going to your house. Because at first, like when she got there, she was like, I don't remember making an appointment with Summer, but I must have because I drove down to Festus and I wouldn't have normally drove down to Festus. So I must have made it. And she did. So when I got there, she remembered having her appointment. We discussed everything. She seemed really good. She's like, I feel really good. I feel like this really, like, she goes, for the first time ever, I'm not um like usually I'd be like, why do you want me to do that? She's like, I'm just very allowing and trusting, and I'm thankful that I have all these people here that love me, that can lead me in the right direction of what I need to do. And oh, I kept saying, what do you have Saturday? Because I knew she had her grand opening on Saturday and she did not know. But when I got to Nate's, she did know. She remembered. I'm like, okay, good. We're good. So I did not do anything else with her at that point. I felt like we were good. And I left. I came home. She said she was going to stay with Nate. Nate went to her, work with her that night or more the next morning, where she slept a little bit more. And she called me the next day. She told me she still didn't feel 100%. And I felt like she wanted me to give her permission to cancel her grand opening. It's not like Stacey to ask for permission. She says now, why did you think I was asking? But it was just the way she worded things. And I said, I feel like you're still under a little bit, and I think we need to do some more work. So let's get you on a Zoom call today, which we did. We got on Zoom, and we did a little session where we integrated everything, and I wanted her to, integrate things on her, better, the best way, her highest and good, right? She came out of that hypnosis. She said she felt great. I think she could remember everything after that point. And now she has told me every day that she felt, so Saturday she said she felt very good, very aligned, very feminine. Now, I'm going to stop here because the rest I think Stacey knows and could tell herself. And she said today she feels more in her body than she had, but she still feels different, but still the same. Now I'm going to tell you my own point of view. We worked with an entity that was ancient, that's very feminine. It's a very feminine energy, where I would say like queen like, goddess like, very ready to take on this body and do the work that that energy wants to do. As I'm saying this, my energy is going up, like, yes, 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 right? Remember I told you, um I'm getting the chills in my body, so I know that I'm correct and I'm telling the story correctly. Now, what I believe happened was that energy came into Stacey's body, and what I got was childlike Stacey there fresh and new without any of that memory because it was a lot of energy to take in and the energies were integrating. I felt really like it was like mad at me for being in its face at first and was like, that's fine. I'll leave you a shell of a Stacey left. Um, and I was afraid I broke my friend, but I'm glad that I did not. I do feel like now that those energies, that energy, that walk in energy, if you research walk in spiritual terms, um, it's another entity that's living in Stacey's body. I did ask that they would live cohesively for the next 10 years so that they can learn each other, uh, the energies better, right? So I believe that the energy we're seeing now coming in is the feminine energy. I'm interested to see what happens and watch Stacey grow in the next 10 years. I think she'll become very powerful and more things are going to show up. And I just want everyone who watches this to be prepared for any changes that might come and know that they are absolutely what is supposed to happen. Um, I did take Stacey in the future in hypnosis that I forgot to say. I asked her if she wanted to go into the future, and she kept saying there are so many multiple ways that she could go, but she didn't feel like any of them were the wrong way. They are the right way. And that she's sure now that wherever she goes, it's the perfect place for her. And now this was before she came to, so you might not remember that, Stacey, but just so you remember, you can't get it wrong. You are always moving in the right direction. And whichever you decide, just choose it and go that route, and it's going to work for you. I want you to trust your gut. I want you to trust that inner speaking to you because she's there with you. And if you have to give her a name, you can. But I feel like she's just uh, another part of Stacey that wants to be more recognized and open and to lead her life without being told who she is, right? I feel like it's just this extra part of you now that's going to be more free and open, and it's really has to go with the flow and easy. So I'm hoping it makes things a little easier. I hope this makes sense. I hope, sorry, my watch is recording me. I don't want that. um, I think that every day a little more and more this energy's integrating with you and your energy that's already there. And I'm excited to see it. And I I hope that you embrace her and let her come out as much as possible. I don't know if she's going to allow you to put her back in that box. We opened it. Um, we opened Pandora's box, and this is what came out of it. I'm super excited about it. I'm glad that, you know, Stacey's not all gone. Like everything's in there. We just have to reorganize it. It's kind of like a house cleaning, I think. And honestly, Stacey has told me that she has less anxiety about what's going on. She feels good. And if I could do this for everybody, I would love it because I think everybody needs to feel that free. Now, she does feel more like she's in her body today, she said. Uh, so I'm interested to see what happens, but this is my perception of what happened, and I am I'm excited to see what happens anyway. Thank you for listening, and yeah, that's it. I'm gonna stop this.